I just realized how to say what I've been trying to say, or what I tried to say in the past two videos for literally like 30 some minutes total. Or wait, no, 20 some. But whenever you intellectualize your feelings, it is not a bad thing to do unless you try to replace. So there's two parts, there's the feeling and then there's the solution. And you can intellectualize the solution, but you can't intellectualize your feelings. So I guess it is negative no matter what, but I feel like I did want to preface it with that because it's like a lot of people, me included, me heading the team, the dog race. Um, but I feel like that's a very in my nature thing to do. But I've realized it's because I have hope for myself and I have a I have a what's the type of fucking a growth mindset. Yikes, that's not a good look. That's not a good look. But yeah, I have a growth mindset. So it's like that's what intellectualizing your feelings is. It's literally hoping for more for yourself. So identifying the things that you had wished other people had identified, but then you have to go back into you and just be like, I am allowed to identify this within myself as something that I want to progress with. But I feel like because a lot of the time, I feel like whenever you intellectualize it and whenever you intellectualize your feelings instead of the solution, a lot of the time not adopting a solution or using that like formulaic thinking for the solution is because of not fully seeing yourself as able to produce that. So if you think through it enough, it feels like, oh, well, I cracked the case wide the fuck open, so I'm there. But then you gotta take the steps to do it too, which is the hard part. Like, it's so much easier said than done, but it's also like, if you were able to think through it and be gentle with yourself enough to acknowledge your context and to figure out what the fuck happened, then you are capable. You are fully capable of doing the things that it is that you want to materialize the outlook that you see for yourself. You are capable of doing that. And I don't mean that in like you can do it. I mean like you can and should be gentle with yourself. Everything can happen with enough fucking grace, patience, and time. You are allowed to have high expectations for yourself and for your level of self preservation, even if that has not existed before. Because I feel like one of my biggest things was like kind of forging confidence or like a want for to preserve my well-being from where there had been none like ever before. And I'm like, I don't have to be bound to feeling like shit for the rest of my life. I am allowed to choose my happiness. I am allowed to say, I'm tired of this. And I know that literally, like, stagnancy or stagnation, is not death of presence, but it's death of humanity. Because humanity is all about variability, it's about dynamics, it's about literal everlasting change. So I'm like, if I am in complete stagnation, I am not alive. So I'm like, if death of my soul is what I'm inherently choosing by staying in the same place forever and or continually getting worse to a point where I can't explore, I can't be happy, I can't do the things that I want to do, then why am I doing this, period? And then at first it made me suicidal. But then I was like, I am allowed to have expectations beyond where I am right now. Because if I already feel like my soul is dead, then it literally could not get worse. And if it does get worse, I already have escapism, like fucking resources to use. So that's why I'm like big on like, sometimes you just gotta let yourself rot. Because that's fucking harm reduction. That's genuinely harm reduction. And I don't mean like just like succumb to whatever forces. It's like always try your best, but acknowledge like sometimes your best is ever so literally all that you could do. So it's like if you do not have a capacity beyond pushing yourself beyond where you are will do you more harm than good. And if you are able to push yourself past where you are, that's either survival mode or it is doing more harm than good. So sometimes sometimes you do have to just chill in stagnation, but it's the fact that stagnation turns into non-soul death, or it's not soul death, whenever you keep the hope alive about a possibility for more. Because I'm like, I had my rotting era and I felt dead the entire time that I was just trying to fucking always escape from the world around me. Because I'm like, if I'm always trying to escape, what am I here for? But then I'm like, if I'm already like fucking miserable and trying to escape my reality, then going into my reality, it literally could only go up from here. And if things get worse, I'm allowed to stay still. If things are getting worse, I'm allowed to stay still. If I'm not ready to go up, I'm allowed to stay still. Because if I'm here, staying here is going to be so much better than keeping going down. If I'm not ready to go up, I'm allowed to stay here. I'm allowed to just ride for a second. I'm allowed to just marinate at this level. And then whenever I'm ready and I've allowed myself the humanity to be able to process the fact that I am not always going to be on go. Life is not about a rat race. It is not. I'm like, I am still growing if I have the amount of self-preservation to hold myself here. That within itself is growth. That within itself is a testament to my want for better and a testament to my ability to achieve better. Because a want is an ability. A want is an ability. Because your wants are mobilized by exploration. And if you want something enough, there is not a damned thing saying you can't get it. I want several things. And that's why I'm like, I tell people, they're like, oh, what do you want to do with your life? I'm like, I have a million different ideas. I'm going to own so many businesses, non-drop shipping empires. But I'm going to do so many different fucking things. I'm going to change the world. I am going to change the world. I tell people, in short, I'm going to change the world because half of my goals, even if not a single one of my goals comes true, if I am able to change myself and the world for the better, I'm there. I'm there. I'm like, I don't give a fuck if it doesn't materialize in the set ways that I saw it happening. Because if I am just in maintenance of my discernment and of changing the world for the better and myself for the better, it means that whatever I'm doing, I'm happy fucking doing it and I'm getting the right results doing it. The results being happiness for myself and for others. Finding that fucking, it's all about that symbiosis for real. Ready? Reverse. but it's like very genuinely, I'm trying to be happy. No matter what happens to me, if I die, I'm going to die happy. Every single time. Every single time. I never want to look back on a moment in my life and just be like, I had the capacity to do more than be on that moment and I didn't. And I don't mean like, oh, right now, like, I don't mean like productivity max it. Like, I mean like, right now I'm like, my capability is to sit here and chill. If I felt compelled, if I wanted more for myself in that moment, then I would either use my capabilities or connect myself to resources that increase my capabilities to do that. So if I was like, oh, I want to do homework right now, I'd either get my ass up and do homework, or if I'm like, my executive dysfunction is too bad to do fucking homework, my stimulants done wore off at the end of the day, I would take my meds and then I would see if somebody could body double. I would find a way, but knowing that that want is there is enough to form an ability, because you have to remember, nothing is meant to be done entirely independently. God forbid, God forbid, God forbid. Nothing is meant to be done entirely independently. You are allowed to not have the energy to fucking do something. You're allowed to not have the capacity to do something, but you gotta remember, you gotta have that discernment to remember that you are not meant to do things alone. In any step of a process, it doesn't have to be all of them per se, but there are countless roles that other people play, even if it's not the presence of someone right there, right then. Nothing that you have, nothing that is around you is because of you alone. And I don't mean in the sense that like, oh, you've never done anything yourself in your whole life, but it's the fact that like, even whenever you work for somebody, it's the fact that you work for somebody, which is gross, disgusting to think about it. Or like if I go buy myself something that I work to get, it's like there are all other people that play a role in those operations. Like, yeah. Which is why it's like, it's cool to do shit by yourself, but it's like, it's not always about the having done stuff yourself. It's about knowing that you have the ability to connect yourself to the resources to get the best goal. Like doing something yourself is like chill, lit, okay? Like that's cool, I guess. But it's like, regardless of if it's by yourself or with other people, any route that can be pursued to furthest align it to your wants for that situation and for that overarching symbiosis for your actions and interactions, it's like, it is not embarrassing to outsource that need. It's not embarrassing to look elsewhere than yourself for a resource that you don't have at the moment. That's why you got to be real with yourself about your wants, needs, and capacities. Because if I'm like, I do not want to fucking do anything tomorrow. I know I have a long weekend. I don't want to do anything. Which is why I'm like, self-confidence and self-accountability and choosing your happiness are the keystones of every large life operation. But like, I'd be like, I gotta call someone, and me like a handful of months ago, even a handful of years ago, well, handful of months ago, would have been like, just fuck, nobody even fucking likes me anyways. Like, I'm just not gonna fucking, okay. Like, okay. Well, does that mean any less that I need to get my homework done? No. So I'm gonna fucking call somebody. If I want it bad enough, I'm about to do it. And here's my thing. By actually just putting myself into being like, you know what, I'm capable of doing hard things. My want to get this homework done overarches my want to self-evaluate in this moment. And even if that means subjecting myself to feeling so wildly uncomfortable in someone else's presence, like being like, oh, damn, I do not like the fact that I feel like gross, ugly, unappreciated right now, then it's like, having that discernment just means you bop to the top. Because my whole thing is like, exploration is literally the keystone of fucking everything. If that didn't work, that means that maybe then I call up my neighbor, and then maybe then I call up my dad. It means that you're not shutting yourself down the second that something, how it presents itself, doesn't work. It means having that hope to know that you are allowed to bounce. You are allowed for, it is okay. Oh my God. Things can happen that have never happened before. Things can happen that have always happened, but being able to keep your exploration alive, being able to keep variability alive is so important, because it's like, yeah, I might feel so shitty, so terrible right now. Yeah, I might feel so shitty, so terrible for the rest of my life. But if that last day is really lit, what? It's like anything could fucking happen. So I'm like, I might as well just try to play my cards right while I have them. I'm like, if I am going to be alive right now, and beyond this moment, then I am going to do the best that I can to make it lit. Like, what? That ended kind of on a sinister note, but it's more just like sometimes you got to like ration yourself into understanding that like you matter and you're like allowed to matter. But yeah, it's like, It's all about that little triad for real. But yeah, I'm gonna go get my food and ooh, what were the other two? Oh my god. I don't know. But long story short, that's that. That's all I have to say about that for tonight, at least. But yeah.